The listeners of this podcast tend to be indie filmmakers, maybe people trying to break in. So someone out there listening is like, man, this art department thing sounds awesome. Like, what is some advice that you could give? Jeez Louise, thunder like crazy. Um, what is some advice that you could give those listeners on how to break into art department, right? Especially right now, like COVID, there's things not happening. Maybe you can't even really go to your art department school classes that maybe you were trying to get into. Like, what's something that people could be doing right now to move towards that career goal?
I would say practice your visual skills as much as possible and how that's going to work with a story, whether that's taking a script, breaking it down, practicing like what you would envision for a character, and that includes color palette wise, like architecture style wise. Um, Sometimes boards help, like just sort of make a practice board. If you're wanting to move into bigger projects, really art department, you're going to need more technical skills, which is kind of the part that I am playing catch up on. Like you really need a solid foundation of some drafting skills or some artistic skills kind of. So, start looking into programs that, set designers might use, or even if it's as simple as starting with the Adobe programs, with Photoshop, with Illustrator, things like that. Because that's always a changing landscape, what software we use. But honestly, once sets open back up and everything, the best way to do is just to kind of ask if you can shadow someone or start
Mm.
as a PA. Because what they'll find usually is if they like being on set, they don't necessarily want to be in art department. Maybe they want to be in set deck, or maybe they want to be in props, or maybe they want to be in construction. Or maybe they find out they do just want to do smaller projects or indies. If they want to do art department and they want to be on bigger projects, they're not going to be on set as much. So it's kind of like getting your time on set and seeing the different jobs kind of helps you decide the
Mm-hmm.
direction you want to go. And it's getting so big. Like even now, the art department is expanding into things like virtual art departments, which are almost bordering on like video games in a way.
Huh.
So there's quite a world out there that you can do beyond what people think maybe is the traditional design art department route.
Yeah, I mentioned Molly. I think I might get the story wrong, but she knew she wanted to make films, but she wasn't exactly sure, what that meant yet. And then she volunteered to go help on a friend of ours' film. God, this was 12 years ago, I guess, something like that. And just as a PA, just to come, do whatever. And she walked on set. uh, I guess his art department coordinator was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" She said, "I don't know yet." And she said, "You're in the art department now." And now she works in the art department, and like that's how it worked. And it was just like that. Now she's had a career for like over 10 years working in the art department because that one lady was like, "Hey, you're with me." Boom, and she's like, "Oh, I love this." Um, yeah, so I'm a huge proponent of going on, just getting on set and seeing, like, especially if you've never been on a really big budget thing before. I remember the first time I did an background, and I was like, oh my god, all these people!
Yeah.
This is not me making movies in the woods with my friends. This is the real deal. This is nuts. So if you haven't done that yet, I definitely get on a set as soon as you can, and it's safe, of course, and just look around and be like, oh my god, which one of these do I want to do?
Right. There's a lot of opportunity, but you also realize like everyone on a big set is much more specialized. Like there's not as much
Hmm.
opportunity to be like, well, let me just go in and jump and help with that.
Yeah.
Like you can't really do that. So some people like that and some people don't. And that really helps you figure out what you want to do.
Although, man, I read the story the other day. Who knows how true it is, but it seems at least semi plausible that this guy was like, he saw a crafty table and walked over to it. I don't know if he was actually like working background or if he just saw the set was there and he was like, "Hey, there's food." And he walked over. He wasn't supposed to be there. He got caught, and then he ended up as a PA somehow. And now he works as a PA full time just because he was trying to steal food. And they're like, "Well, here's your paperwork and stuff." And now he's like, I was like, "Do you understand like how hard that is for people to get these positions?" And you just like fate just taps you on the head and when like you, it's just like that's so infuriating. But sometimes that's the way it goes, I guess.
Sometimes that's the way it goes. I mean, it's not, as with the rest of life, it's not a fair system.
Yeah.
It is all about it's all about circumstance. It is all about who you know. It is about your personal connections, and a lot of it is just luck, being in the right place at the right time. And it is, if you ask anybody, they'll be like, I can pinpoint a decision where if I'd made a different decision, I would not be in the career I am now.
Yeah. And I'm not saying for people to go steal food from production so you can get on set. That's not what I'm saying. Don't, that is not the lesson to learn here.
Most of the times that won't work, but
Yeah,
the takeaway,
yeah, that one person got to do it, and now nobody else can.
Right.
It's done.